Alrighty guys, welcome back to part 8 of the Endgame. So, we're going to be taking on Sirus in this part, or technically part 18 of the full walkthrough for this season. So, what we're going to be doing is focusing on these maps that will say map contains either Drox, Alhesman, Veritania, or the Baron. So, just like the other Guardians, it doesn't matter on which order that you complete these in. However, the map will be a little bit different. I'll briefly kind of show you what the map looks like. So some of these, there's just going to be things on the ground on the map that you just don't want to stand in. They're pretty obvious, like there's a giant square, or there's going to be these snakes that will shoot things at you. So it does make the map a little bit more difficult, just if it is a map that exists. Now, how it works is you're going to be defeating the boss of the normal map, whatever the map is, right? And then after that, there's a portal that opens up, and you're going to be fighting another boss. Now, these bosses actually have different mechanics that I will go over, but just like all of the previous maps for the Elder and the Guardians, you're going to be just getting these as a drop. You can also trade these with other players, as well as you can get them on Aquilaxx Atlas mission. They can randomly kind of just spawn in. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and just cut to the gameplay footage. But first, before that, I want to go ahead and actually show you guys how to get some of these crafting modifiers, because some of you guys have asked, how do I get some of these modifiers? Now, how I obtain mine is actually two different ways. Sometimes I'll just buy an item with it already on it. Sometimes I will craft onto an item. So you can do either one. What we're going to be focusing in on is in the light blue text. So that says trigger a socketed spell when you use a skill with an 8-second cooldown. Spells triggered this way have 150% more cost. The other one that we're going to be focusing in on is +1 to number of raised skeletons and zombies. Now, it doesn't have to be for this specific build, because you can get a lot of these rolls that you really need to get by just what's called unveiling. Let me show you guys that mechanic. It's just kind of weapons will drop. There's going to be lots of different things on the map, but it's specifically doing what's called the betrayal mechanic. We're going to be getting these items, and then you can talk to June. She'll spawn in as you do the content, just that randomly can spawn in on the maps. But you can also access June's mechanic, which is the reveal thing. When you put in the map, you can select is this one? The Immortal Syndicate activity, in which June will help you in combat. So if you select this, it's going to guarantee which one's mechanic that you can only select one of these at a time. But if you select this on the Atlas, it will actually do the mechanic, and that's how you can actually get them to spawn on the map and do the mechanic to get the little alien text. But you're going to need this for lots of different builds. However, it can be skipped by either trusting someone and giving them the item and having them craft on it, because some of these crafts will cost money, as in you will actually have to go to your crafting bench and then let's say put in whatever item that you're crafting. You're gonna have to pay whatever it costs to actually do that. So you would have to trust the person, or you just more likely would have to do it yourself, or you can just get the item with it on it, but the chances of that happening are very, very slim. But yeah, let's go and show off the crafting mechanic and then all these bosses, and then we're going to do Sirus. And also, at this point, you really definitely need to have a 6th link. However, if you don't have a 6th link, you could drop things that would help you out with clear. In our case, since we're playing skeleton mages, volley support isn't going to really help out during the boss fight. Especially since most of these bosses hold still. So what volley does is it makes it so there's multiple projectiles. Now this can apply to other builds unless there is a shotgun mechanic, which is where there's an overlap in damage versus explosions and stuff like that. But a lot of times people will play let's say you're playing a melee build, there's melee splash support. If you happen to have these, you can drop them for some of these bosses, as these bosses are going to get a lot more difficult. Again, remember I was talking about getting penetration. So if you don't have penetration for some of these bosses, consider getting let's say coal penetration, fire penetration, whatever damage that you're dealing, get penetration. In our case, we're running something called Flesh Crafter, which makes it so we ignore the resistances, so it doesn't matter for us in our case. But specifically, if you don't happen to have a 6th link, you can drop, let's say, volley support, or again, depending on the build, drop something that would help you out with clear, maybe melee splash, and that will really help out with more damage, because these bosses are going to start scaling to be a lot more difficult. So again, if you have even if you have a 6th link, you can drop volley support for some bosses. And the reason why I say some bosses move around too fast, and the reason why you want volley is because it just shoots out 3 and the chances of it hitting it are going to be higher, right? But a lot of these bosses, they do some ooh, I'm charging up, and then they're going to do an attack, and so you'll have a lot more chances to hit them without needing more projectiles, if that makes sense. But the reason why I say it may be not important to swap it on certain certain builds. There are things like Tornado Shot, which cause an overlap, or that if there's an explosion of two like objects, it will basically do the damage twice if you happen to have more projectiles, or like Molten Strike. There's lots of different skills that have like overlap on things. But anyways, let's go ahead and cut to the gameplay. So we eventually got it. So how this mechanic works is you're going to see these items that will drop with alien text, and I finally got to drop the one that I wanted to show off. The one I want to show off is minions have 10% increased life, and then +1 to maximum number of raised zombies as well as skeletons. That's the one that you want to get, and how you get it is you just keep on doing things that would be related to the betrayal mechanic, and now I have it unlocked. So you're gonna see items with this alien text. You can take it to June. She'll be in the maps that spawn in that have the mechanic, but it's just random if you're going to get it or not. There's actually 2 that are important for our particular build. However, this applies to a bunch of different things. Like if I want to get some extra armor on a craft, this is how you can unlock them, because it'll say like new crafting unlocked. But the important ones to actually obtain are going to be specifically +1 maximum number of raised zombies as well as skeletons. And then the other one is trigger a socketed spell when you use a skill with an 8-second cooldown, and they cost 150% more mana. Those are the 2 that are actually important for our build. However, lots of other builds can really benefit off of other crafted modifiers. Another great crafted modifier that you can look out for is let's just do some rings here. There are multiple ways kind of to get some of these, and the thing is that if you see that there's this yellow or orange line underneath, that means that you don't have it unlocked yet, but now like this one, it'll just unlock. Some of them, before, how it works is you would actually unlock them as you would progress, like you'll unlock more and more as you progress. However, like you'd have to like get level 1, 2, and then 3, but I think now they've changed it so like you unlock it at like the highest tier. There might be some exceptions to this rule though, so if you've already gotten one, like this one just goes from 0 to like the little 3 icon, so I think that it's just going towards a 3. You'll see that there is a chance to do something while focused. That's for like another mechanic. It's not, to my knowledge, to be very, very popular, but it's like what you can activate, and there's a lot of things that like affect you while you're focused. But it's like another like skill that you'll get, and you'll get the focus skill when you have something that can actually use focus. But that's how it works. It's basically me just showing you guys that like that's how you get some of these crafted modifiers. If you are wondering how do you get some of these things that are on your crafting bench, this is unlocking more crafts. All right. Now, it took a while to get this unveiled, but it's on a weapon. It's trigger socketed spell when using a skill with the cooldown. We got it off of this random axe. You can also technically get weapons to unveil, but we finally got it. The trigger socketed spell one. Alright, so next mechanic we're going to be showing off is how to get to Sirus. He's a pretty difficult boss, but we're going to go and throw this in any of these maps that holds a map containing one of the conquerors. They'll kind of look a little bit different. You'll notice some. There's several of them, but what we're going to do is we're going to go in the map. We're going to kill the boss. There's also something different on the map. Like for his, there's going to be snakes. Basically, just don't stand in any like AoE. The shrine buffs. There's another snake. You can actually kill him now. You used to not be able to do it. Again. Let's go ahead and go on in ASAP. So this boss, how it works is sometimes you want to be in the triangle, sometimes you want to be out of the triangle. So starting right off, you can fight him. It's just when the triangle gets filled with poison, you then don't stand in the triangle. But for the most part, like when he says hold still, he'll like do an attack. A lot of times once they like make a announcement is when they're going to do an attack. But now we don't stand inside the triangle. We stand on the outside of the triangle. And there's going to be a time where there's a bunch of snakes on the like outer side of the triangle, and then that's where you want to be inside, and then they won't actually hit you. He's relatively slow though, since we have a bunch of like chill. So now, since we're ranged, it makes things so much easier. This guy is kind of not the most friendly if you're playing melee, because all the snakes are like right there, as you can see. Alright, there we go. And we got another one. We got him. Alright, so right now what we're doing is going to be Baron. But just like the maps, kill the boss. But this time what happens when we kill the boss is there is going to be a portal that opens up to fight another boss. There's also things on the ground for each one of them. And just don't stand in the AoE. This one's like a giant square. And so, yeah, after we defeat this one, we'll get some maps, I guess, as a drop. But here's how this mechanic works. There's a bunch of lightning things that go on the ground. Just don't step on them. That's basically it. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. And if we want to apply that brittle, just walk up to him. This one's going to be affected by Maven. So he'll do his giant, like, charge-up slam attack. When he does that, just walk away. But you're playing ranged anyways. So don't stand on the squares. They do damage. But the most important thing is basically his giant slam. Now, normally there's not two of them, or these orbs that you have to follow, but okay, we're doing it on, like, the hard mode with the Maven here. Just so you can see, like, the build is capable, obviously, but don't stand in those. And when he like does his giant charge up attack, but since you're not in melee range, just don't get in melee range for very long. All I'm getting in melee range for is to apply that brittle ground. But other than that, that's basically it. And that is going to be the Baron. We got him defeated, and he's going to drop one of these little like pieces of a face. You collect 4, and then going to fight another super boss very soon. All right, Veritania. So this character is actually a really cool looking boss. But the mechanic is a little bit more important on this one.
Time has no meaning here. Your pain will be endless.
So she does have a move where she will throw out a bunch of projectiles, but since we have a bunch of minions, they'll basically absorb it. I'm going to walk between just to apply the brittle, but generally you don't want to stand too close because these little things can overlap. And also those little like tornadoes right there. But since we have a bunch of minions, they'll basically just take it for us. There's a giant like swirl that goes around. Like we're basically in the center of a donut. We don't want to be on the like the outside. When she does that move where there's a bunch of spikes, you'll wait for her to usually, well, she jumped on a minion, but there'll be a little circle right before she lands when she throws like those like double like ice walls. This skill, again, watch out for the tornadoes. We'll apply brittle again. Throw down more minions, but she's a relatively easy boss fight for minions. There will be times where she goes inside, like the ice storm, the hurricane. But you do want to always stay outside of that. So basically, in the little ring is where the battle goes on. And now we have Veritania's crest, so that will be good because we're almost there. We just need to get 2 more, and then we'll be fighting another super boss. But yeah, it's basically the mechanics of Veritania. Alright, so next we're going to be going into the Warlord's Keep. So this boss is actually quite interesting. He actually summons these defensive banners. And so this is drox. And the banners will actually give him some more defenses. And you don't want them to overlap. So if you want to, you can kill these. These are pretty easy to kill as the Necro. Because what you can do is, like, if you're positioned correctly and he's close enough. Sometimes he usually likes to stick really close to the center. But those fists, by the way, those are the only things in the fight that, like, you really gotta watch out. But they kind of go in like a line. I mean, I don't have to kill them, but I'm just here to show you guys that you can kill them. But the reason why the Necromancer is so great, specifically the Summoner, or anything that can shoot a projectile, is great. Because you can hit him, and then if you position yourself right, you can also hit the banner. But now that we've defeated him, and we've got all of the pieces, we're going to be doing a super boss called Sirus or Cyrus. He's actually got a lot of mechanics, so let's go ahead and do him next. So now that we got all our pieces, we got Veritanias, we got Alhez, we got Drox and Barons. We're going to go put all of them in, and they have to be in this correct shape. And now we're going to be doing Cyrus. He's a very hard boss. Make sure you have some sort of immunity to ailments. Specifically, getting freeze is really important. I'm actually freeze immune, but if you've been watching this as like a playthrough guide, at this point you would have been immune to freeze already. But the thing is that he will have this beam that he will shoot at you that will freeze, it will set you on fire, and it will shock you. We're immune to everything, so it doesn't really matter. But he is a relatively fair boss. I say relatively fair because there is a little bit of RNG with him sometimes. Let me go ahead and grab a, it's fine. You could probably do it without the extra zombie, but just in case you are running something, there's not any like minions that can really kill, so I'm just gonna go ahead and grab another zombie, and then now we're gonna be a-okay. So we'll go back to our hideout and we'll take him on. But you definitely want to make sure you have all your buffs up. He's definitely a difficult boss. Although for this build, it's going to be a face roll. He's really hard for melee. I've done it on melee before, and it is not easy. Because you have a short window. So as soon as you go in, you'll see him. And how he works is you gotta go under his legs in order to start the actual like mechanic. So there's a dialogue. I don't think you can skip it, but yeah. So one thing that's important, if you don't have it enabled, make sure your subtitles are on. The reason why is sometimes he'll say die, and like when he says die, you want to move, but like it just kind of visually helps. Like if I see the green text, I'm gonna know to use like a mobility ability. So we're gonna go ahead and go in. He's so easy as any like ranged build that can just shoot things down, but for melee it is a nightmare. But yeah, we don't really play melee anymore for those reasons. Hopefully one day melee will be buffed again. But so as soon as the fight starts, he'll just start throwing stuff at you. But you got to go under his legs. He's sitting in a chair. Don't stand on any of these like spikes. It does damage. Now we're basically in a small little arena. You can see it outlined by the red here. And basically, just summon your stuff. And so he just did his die beam. That's the thing that usually will kill people. But as long as you're kind of moving, and you want to be behind him, just like in most boss fights in PoE. So eventually he'll just start pushing you. Start going to the bottom left. Otherwise you could get pushed into an area where you don't want to be. So I hear him over there. I want to see where he goes. So if you go into any of these storms, you will consistently just start taking damage. So you don't want to walk into that. We're just going to go under him and then he'll stop. So it takes him a second sometimes. Again, don't walk in those. They do damage. But you want to make sure you can see him. He's going to start his arena again. And when he does that, oh, well, okay. When he shoots, we're doing this too fast. Like, whoa. Okay, so you see it where he says die? Yeah, don't get hit by that. But there's more of the meteor, and I'll explain that more in depth. We just kind of got lucky, and it just was way too easy. So we need him to move, and sometimes he gets annoying and he doesn't want to move, but so once again, he said die. So when he shoots this ring, you'll see that there's little embers. Walk outside of the little like ring. There's only one exit on each ring. And it starts off with 1, then it goes up to 3. But it's pretty easy. But when he locks you in this thing where there's basically 2 walls, he's going to push us away again. And he's going to be annoying. He's kind of in the storm. Looks like the storm's kind of moving. Got under him again. But when there's 2 rows, you have to rush him. He's going to throw fireballs left, right, left, right. I don't know if he's going to like do it anytime soon, but when he does it, I'll mention it again. So those are the craters. See, this is the triple one. Gotta look for the exit. But you have a decent amount of time. Very rarely will people die to that. It's usually the die beam. Now he's going to have a bunch of clones. Okay, so here's the fireball. So it's left, right, left, right, left, right. Just dash right into his face. Don't be scared. So he's going to summon a bunch of these clones. There's one of them's real. Which one is it? Well, it doesn't really matter because their skeletons will be doing the work. Now we have this cross. This thing is kind of slow, but if he does the die beam at the same time, it's really annoying. But since we have the minions still able to deal damage to him, it makes it much easier. So yeah, just follow the little like embers and you'll be good. He did the little like double wall. Just he's shooting fireballs. With this, I like to stay on the outside over here. And it'll be good. one of them is a real one. Again, your minions will handle it. Or if you, even if you're not playing like a minion build, you'll probably have like some sort of like golem. So you can use that to your advantage. Apply the brittle. There's another one of the rings. You kind of gotta just time that one. But like, as long as you can tank a little bit of it, you'll be fine. Oh, there's the die. I heard the die. Okay. Unfortunately, we died to the die. And it happens. And don't worry if you die to the die. It's sometimes, even though you've played the game for a super long time, it can just get you. Now, unfortunately, you also kill their animate guardian. That does suck. So if you do happen to have the other things to get him once again, we'll open up a new instance here. We can resummon up our zombies. And that's what I want to do over here. But you can use Convocation or remove your animate guardian if you're afraid that he may die. He will very commonly die on that fight. I was actually kind of curious to see if he would survive, but my recommendation would be, if you're unsure if he will die, then just remove it. Actually, we need one more zombie. There we go. So we got all of our zombies back, and we're going to go back and do the boss. Let's go right back in. But you have, you know, you got 6 portals to do it. It's no big deal, especially if it's your first time. The first time I did him, I actually did fail it because I didn't actually know how he worked. And I would say for the most time, anyone that's ever tried him for the very first time, without like reading a guide, you probably lost on it. It's not that easy to understand the mechanics of him. But yeah, going back to the fight can be kind of hard too, because again, the storm will kill you. So we have to like find him again, trying to step on anything. And you can see his hands, and then you know, so we perfectly timed it that time. Oh, there's the die beam. But you usually want to keep him in your line of sight because of the die beam. This move is real easy too. No one really dies to this. It's pretty much just the die beam. Again, he's double walls, dash right to his face. We should be able to kill him right now. Ooh, okay, what did we get from him? We got a belt. We got a jewel. We'll pick up all the things, and I'll at least identify them for you guys, so you guys can see what he dropped. So the only really good thing that he did drop, I'll check out what the price is for this so you guys can see as well. So this is Thread of Hope. It's it looks like it's like 55 to like 70 chaos, but the rest of the items like bated breath, this isn't worth anything. But yeah, pretty much this item is great. So what this does, if I can show you, do I have a jewel socket that I can like remove? It doesn't have like stats. Okay. Oh wait, that one I can't remove because I need it for the reservation efficiency. That one might be for the decks. I think, I mean, Dead Reckoning can be removed just for a second here. So what this allows you to do, it allows you to get the things. It says effects passive in medium ring. Passives and radius can be allocated without being connected to the tree. So I know I'm like, I've already pathed this way, but I could get things that aren't in the tree. So I can get a Salem without going over here. I can get this 18% chaos resistance. That's pretty big. So it allows you to get things that you normally could not get. Sometimes via like you don't have enough skill points. So this item is a very, very good item. So that's Thread of Hope. It's one of the awesome items that he can drop. He can also drop Crown of the Inward Eye, which is actually a really good cheap item, although nowadays it's pretty much outclassed, but it's another great item that he can drop, as well as the Savior, I believe, drops from him as well, which is a really cool item, but again, it's another one of those things where it just kind of got outdated. But Thread of Hope, definitely a really cool and unique jewel. But that is Sirus or Cyrus. Congratulations if you defeated him. He's one of the harder bosses. I know, like, for us, even though I've been playing this game for a long time, I still died him. Again, the die beam, it just hits for an insane amount of damage, and it's just like very fast because it does a lot of like ticks basically. But that's Sirus or Cyrus. Alrighty, so Sirus is a very hard boss, so congratulations if you defeated him. Again, just like I've mentioned before with other bosses, if you are dying on some of these bosses, don't worry. They're not supposed to be like super easy the first time that you defeat them, but as time goes on, it will be much easier. But that's the mechanic for Sirus. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this part. If you guys did, drop a like on it, and I'll see you guys in the next part, which we will be fighting even harder bosses. I know there's so much content here, but take care. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.